So my vision for this was, it doesn't matter which pre-master you put in here, I want you to reach that volume and reach that in-your-face feel as well. If you want to try it out for yourself, the Laidback Limiter is out through Splice's rent-to-own, or you can try it out for 14 days for free now on laidbacklimiter.com. Hey, what's up? This is Laidback Luke, DJ and producer, Kung Fu athlete, and dedicated dad. This is not really a producer vlog. This is actually for you DJs as well. The Laidback Limiter, I can't believe it. I have my own plugin finally. So why this is not for producers only, but for DJs as well, I'll tell you real soon. Just a little bit of history here, because this is a dream come true for me. It must have been about 15 years ago that I started approaching companies and to try and get a Laidback Luke plugin out somewhere. And unfortunately, it never really worked out. Until, I was almost gonna say last year, but it was in 2022 that I was at ADE and I randomly came across an old acquaintance of mine who said, hey, have you ever thought of putting out your own plugin? And I'm like, yes, for many years now. And he told me he works for Koala DSP and they develop plugins, and I'm like, I am all ears. So we started speaking and I came up with a bunch of concepts, and especially one that would help me with mastering. And I've always mastered my own tracks, and over the course of the pandemic I decided to dive into the techniques of now, what is going on now with the proper plugins that are around, what LUFS we are hitting and whatnot. And I want to again give a shout out to Hardwell, who was on a Zoom with me where we were talking and nerding out about mastering. This helped a lot as well. And I was doing this technique which I implemented in my Laidback Limiter plugin, which I double checked with him, like, is this legal to do it this way? Because I'm getting really loud right now. And apparently it was, and at a certain point I was like, I just need to put this in a plugin and put this out in the world. So before I lose all the DJs watching this, what I regularly use this for is whenever I have a bootleg or a mashup. And a bootleg you nowadays call remixes, but it's actually unofficial remixes, right? And instead of bringing it to a mastering engineer, spending a whole lot of money for something that I just want to DJ out, I'll just slap on the Laidback Limiter, go back and forth with a fully mastered track to just figure out the volumes and where the proper frequencies on the dance floor sit. With my Laidback Limiter, I reach the professional volume really quick, and I am then able to play my track out immediately in front of a crowd. Perfect for mashups, edits, and bootlegs. And before we go in, demos as well. If I'm working on a track and I just want to test out the arrangement for a track or see how the crowd responds to certain sounds, the Laidback Limiter is perfect for that, to make it comparable with all the other fully mastered tracks around immediately. Okay, so enough talk, let's have a listen and let's see what it actually does. The Laidback Limiter in use on this quick little mashup that I made of 3 tracks. If you're a DJ and you're watching this, sometimes you take one fully mastered professional track and you blend it with another fully mastered track, and then in this case I even want to put a vocal on top. So all of that mastered signal is going to get skewed a little bit. Let's listen to this quick little mashup that I made. The vocal I had put on top, in order for that to really stand out above the tracks that I used, I needed to put that up almost to 4 decibels. Now when you have these 2 professional master tracks and you put something else that's 4 decibels louder on top of it, there's no way a limiter is gonna stop that without it distorting. So what I did when we look on the master channel is just reduce the gain on the master for 4 dBs, and now the whole signal is lower. And let's see how many LUFS this is. So we're sitting around -8 with that 4 dB gain reduction, right? And I want it to be -7 LUFS. So what you can do now is put the standard Ableton limiter on and try and reach that -7 LUFS. So that's about right here, a 2.1 dB increase, and no hate to the Ableton limiter. I love Ableton and I love a lot of stock plugins, but the limiter that's in there can't compare with the bigger limiters that are out there, including the Laidback Limiter. So let's try and do the same thing with the Laidback Limiter. We'll just boost it. We could also go crazy on this one. Let's really push that Ableton limiter right here. So right around minus 5.4, minus 5.5, the Ableton limiter starts freaking out. And let's see how the Laidback limiter does. We are sitting at a minus 5 LUFS and it's still holding up. Obviously all the elements get glued together, but this is the power of the Laidback limiter. If you're interested to check it out, the Laidback limiter is out through Splice's rent-to-own right now, or you can try it out for 14 days for free now on laidbacklimiter.com. And so in terms of DJ edits and mashups, I actually personally use this plugin a lot, even though I have the whole scope of established limiters that are around, Fab Filter, Isotopy Ozone, big shout out to both. The Laidback limiter for me personally gives really fast results. As we up the ante and up the scale in this vlog, and let's try this on a pre-master of a professional track that I need to hand in. What you need to know about pre-masters, and I've actually put it in the preset names in the plugin. If you go to an official mastering engineer, and I can really recommend that, they will always want your pre-master to be minus 6 dB. So I'm not talking about LUFS right here. So in this pre-master project I have, some other thing I can recommend you is always compare your track, the one you're about to master, with a professionally mastered track. So in this case, my professional track is my collab with DJs from Mars called State of Euphoria. This is my most recent release, and it is sitting at a beautiful about minus 7 LUFS, which I love as a sweet spot for fully mastered tracks. And so I'll go back and forth with this pre-master that I have, which is currently at around minus 14 LUFS. And so with the help of the Laidback limiter, I'm just going to boost this signal until we reach that minus 7 LUFS. As a recommendation from me to you, let's compare it to the master track. Let's see how it sits. Ooh, that's sitting nice and clunky actually. I have an awesome bonus for you at the end of this vlog. Make sure you stick around. I will give you the absolute secret of this plugin right here in this video. In the meantime, if you have any comments, make sure to leave it down below because I love reading them and I love responding to them. So if you have any questions, I'm here for it. Now we're going to dive in deeper and I'm going to show you some of the functionalities as well. But we are actually going into a project, a fully mastered project that's mastered over the top. And let's see where the Laidback limiter can help over there. So we're in an older project of mine in which I had an elaborate master chain going on. And mind you, I transferred this from an older computer onto my new computer. So some plugins aren't working, but you can see over here how elaborate it was. I actually had the Ozone 9 on here with the mastering assistant. Then after that, I put an Ozone 7 exciter in because I love how that sounds. An imager as well for stereo widening, reducing some peaks here. And this is all after the Ozone, right? Then after that, to finish it off, the Pro L2 limiter. And let's just state, hypothetically speaking, this one is pushing everything to the brim. So say this is going to the maximum. And it's not bad, right? It's a minus 7.4 LUFS, but you really want to reach that minus 7. All you need to do is stick that Laidback limiter on and work the boost. Let's put this on oversampling times 2. And there it is. And so maybe this is a good moment for us to dive into what the Laidback limiter actually does. It includes peak reduction using the various clippers, the multiband clippers in here, which I'll tell you more about, and then goes into peak reduction using a limiter. And then after that, we can boost that whole signal to reach the maximum amount possible. Because what I used to do before was put on every channel either a limiter or the T-Rex classic clipper, which I really enjoyed, and just made sure that each and every channel was reduced by either 1 dB or 2 dB, so that on the end, with that amount of volume, volume reduced, you could push it even more. That's why I chose to have an actual clipper in here and an inbuilt extra limiter as well. So let's listen to the various bands and I'll give you some advice on the clipping as well. So over here we have all the low frequency bands, the mid-low, the mid-high, and the high frequencies, which you can solo out. And you can change these bands as well. Same goes for here, right? Now the thing with the classic clipper is that you would be clipping a signal and it would be the whole signal. But what if sometimes you just want the high mids to be clipped, or just some saturation or clipping in the full high ends? That's why this is a multi-band section. What I also use this for is to actually do some EQing on a final master. If I'm missing that tiny slightly little mid crunch or high end, it's as easy as turning up the gain. So say I'm listening to this track and I'm like, oh, I could use a little bit more high frequencies, and I'm comparing it to a professional track, right? What you then simply can do is turn up the gain. And what I love is that it's actually being caught by the limiter after, and so it glues together immediately. This is a preference of mine. I do love that really glued sound. You could also then decide if you want to have the multi-band working 100% or less. And so now it's just subtle, right? Pull this back a little bit. Bonus time! How to maximize this plugin the best is through one specific preset that I made for you. It is called the LBL Secret Sauce preset. And I don't know if you've noticed, but throughout this whole video, I've had it on the LBL Secret Sauce preset. I developed this preset specifically to maximize all the abilities in this plugin. And where the power lies is there's an auto look ahead which catches peaks amazingly, and there's an auto release which responds through the multiple components we have in this plugin. Up to 100% to keep as much dynamic as possible, and literally taking out the knee in here. And so with all of these settings, the only thing you need to do is boost and you'll get immediate results. But what I also want you to know is that all of the presets in the plugin are designed by me, are developed by me. It's basically me just having a little bit of fun with the plugin. These are 5 presets that have the feel of my biggest hits. So let's for fun load up the Turbulence preset. And you know how Turbulence sounds, right? It's in your face, it's out there, it's loud. And now let's just apply this to this track that doesn't sound like Turbulence at all. Might want to dial back the boost a little bit here. Look at the LUFS, and this is on purpose because Turbulence I mixed down right in the middle of the loudness war, and I think the original is about -4.5 LUFS. So my vision for this was it doesn't matter which pre-master you put in here, I want you to reach that volume and reach that in-your-face feel as well. But let's listen to another preset. Let's listen to the Leave the World Behind preset. How about that? So Leave the World Behind would be a little bit warmer, a little bit less loud. We're gonna dial the boost back again as well and see how this sits and feels. So that's a totally different feel, right? Let's go to Show Me Love for fun. So it has that feeling of my hit tracks. And when it comes to the rest of the presets, just have a browse through it, have a look, see whatever fits in your project and in your track. There's a couple of ones that are really interesting and you'll probably have some fun with. And just a reminder, if you want to try it out for yourself, the Laidback Limiter is out through Splice's Rent to Own, or you can try it out for 14 days for free now on laidbacklimiter.com. And so there it is, an absolute dream come true, and I can't believe it's out ever since 2022 when I spoke to my old acquaintance, up until now, 2024, where we're celebrating the release of this. Wow. And I hope you will check it out and possibly thoroughly enjoy working with this plugin, as I've been enjoying using it myself. I will catch you back here for the next one, and my monitor went off. How about that? Until then, L's up, rave safely, and salute.